So I was listening to the Joe Rogan podcast with Tim Pool that's going on right now. And Jamie got a little defensive about some shit. It was the first time I've ever heard him do that. It's pretty weird.
I have not been watching it purely because I got off of work and came home and got ready for this show. But it's nice to know that there are things you'd rather do than this show.
Yeah. Hey everybody. Welcome to the Western States of Discord, your one and only pre-show to the YouTube Saints. Coming at you every Friday at 4:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yes. Any Discord news other than what I'm gonna follow up with once you say, like, real shit?
Perhaps. If I remember right, next week we're gonna do the town hall meeting for the month. A little heads up, that may be getting changed to bi-monthly or even quarterly that we do those, because there doesn't seem to be a lot brought up between in the course of a month. So if I'll bring it up again at the town hall, but feel free to give us your opinion at that time. Give it some thought. Beyond that, I don't think there's that much.
Trap brings up a good point. This show's been going on for over a year now. Yeah.
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 Waffle's busy. Couldn't join us tonight. But
bastard.
Much love to him. Also, like always, if you have issues with other users and you aren't getting along and stuff, mods are more than happy to help you guys out. And
oh shit, I forgot to fill up my water.
And mediate conversations. Yeah. So
yeah. Please make sure to bring it to us as quickly as possible.
Yep, mods are more than happy.
More than healthy? What the fuck?
Yep.
How drunk are you? You go sober for a week and a half, and you start drinking again, and you already start fucking everything up.
It was like 2 or 3 weeks. Give me a break.
I'm sure it felt that way.
No, it felt like a fucking year. One thing I love about drinking is I just lose sense of time entirely. It's fucking glorious. Alright. So.
Alright.
Let's talk about guns.
Yeah, let's talk about guns real quick.
Because that's not controversial or anything.
It's not controversial at all. Shut up. Second Amendment, motherfucker. Other such things that really have no bearing on anything. Anyway, so this is something I wanted to talk about. I'm a bit of a gun guy, but it's important to know, and it's not really something that people are bringing up all that much. I only know about this because I pay attention to the YouTube gun community and other such things about firearms. But gun owners of America to take the NFA before the Supreme Court. The National Firearms Act is an insidious. Okay, keep in mind this is a pro Second Amendment blog, so it's going to be very biased.
The website is called bearingarms.com. I think people understand that it's very pro-gun.
Alright, anyway, the National I will quote this, I will give my opinion at the end. The National Firearms Act is an insidious piece of legislation that I desperately hope to one day see relegated to the proverbial trash heap of history. The idea that we, law-abiding citizens who have done nothing wrong, should have to beg for permission to arm ourselves with a certain firearm is practically begging to be shot down. I just don't know if I'll see it in my lifetime. However, it does appear that Gun Owners of America is doing its part to make my dream a reality. In a press release sent out on Wednesday, GOA announced it was taking an anti-NFA case to the highest court in the land. GOA, GOF, that's Gun Owners Association and Gun Owners Foundation, fund challenge to NFA in U.S. Supreme Court. This is quite a long thing, but this is really the main crux of it. The arguments presented by GOA and GOF cut to the heart of the National Firearms Act. GOA's Eric Pratt. Springfield, VA. Gun Owners of America and its legal arm, Gun Owners Foundation, this week continued their defense of Jeremy Kettler, who is a disabled combat veteran. GOA-GOF submitted a petition for writ of certiorari, or whatever that word is. Whatever this word is, it's a legal term. I don't know what it actually means, and I'm hoping that it's actually being highlighted. Yes, it's being highlighted. Cool.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I can't see what's on screen. So.
Before the U.S. Supreme Court, on behalf of Kettler, after he was convicted for violating the National Firearms Act, or NFA. The Obama Justice Department brought criminal felony charges against Kettler for illegally possessing an unregistered firearm suppressor, despite the fact that Kansas' Second Amendment Protection Act protected his actions. GOA and GOF have stood with Kettler both in his appeal to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 10th Circuit and now in the U.S. Supreme Court. GOA's executive director, Chris Pratt, stated, "It's time to change the NFA, which has long been a leviathan of unconstitutional gun control. GOA-GOF is not only proud to defend one of our nation's disabled veterans, but also to potentially deal a significant blow to the NFA." GOA-GOF arguments challenged the legitimacy of the NFA as a so-called tax. Challenged the absurd notion that the Second Amendment only applies to bearable arms, and raised concerns that the NFA is a tax on a constitutionally protected right. GOA-GOF have stood for the right to own bearable arms of all types, and firearms accessories as well, including suppressors and machine guns, Pratt stated. The arguments presented by GOA-GOF cut to the heart of the National Firearms Act. GOA-GOF urge the Supreme Court to take up this case and put an end to its lower courts ignoring the Heller and McDonald decisions. Jeremy Kettler's petition presents solid, well-argued questions important to all gun owners, and we hope the court will grant certiorari to all
Sartorius
to decide them. Pratt concluded. For more information, you can go here, there, the other place, and it's there's the GOA, GOFs, and I'll finish up with what this guy's saying. "I wish GOA luck. However, I'm skeptical, not because the organization doesn't have a case, mind you. The Supreme Court's previous stance supporting a marijuana case in a state where it was legal is that it becomes impossible to know where marijuana was grown, making it impossible to tell if it was leaving the state or not. Yes, that's a really oversimplified version of the case, but I think you get my point. Yeah. Suppressors are serialized and stamped with where they are made. That means so long as a suppressor doesn't leave a state where it was made, it should be exempt from the NFA rules. However, there are a couple of roadblocks. One is the Supreme Court's recent reticence to hear any Second Amendment case. With Justice Kavanaugh on the bench, one can hope that would change, but I'm not ready to hold my breath. Another is whether or not the current court will hold with previous court rulings. I hope I'm wrong on this. I would love for the justices to find the whole damn thing unconstitutional and strike it down. I'll be the first in line for suppressors for my guns, but I don't think it's going to happen." I wish them luck, nonetheless. Now, my thoughts on this, I can understand why people want to, why people would want to keep fully automatic firearms illegal, machine guns especially illegal, because there is a difference. There is a difference. What do you mean can't leave the state, doesn't break interstate it doesn't break if it doesn't leave the state, it can't break interstate commerce laws. Y2K. Well, but anyway, continuing on with what I'm saying.
So the way our country's set up is each state is technically its own individual country. At least that's the way it was supposed to be set up.
Yeah. Just to an extent.
Taking it across border, the U.S. government is the EU, essentially. Except they actually have to take into account our votes.
Yeah. But anyway, so the big thing here is, yeah, I get why people want to ban stuff, keep banned fully automatic weapons and other such things, but the NFA was put in place in a time when we had it actually came out of Prohibition. Weirdly enough, it was the result of the gangs of, I would assume, Chicago.
I thought you were going to say the gangs of New York.
No, it's gangs of Chicago and other such places having their monopoly on the illegal drinking. Illegal consumption of alcohol, illegal creation, all that fun stuff. It came out of that because
they also had a monopoly on automatic firearm trade.
It was actually more because they were trying to keep these more automatic weapons out of the hands of the mafia. They were trying to get these short-barreled rifles and short-barreled shotguns, which are theoretically easier to conceal in trench coats and stuff, which nowadays look fucking out of place, but at the time they were very common. And it was just an attempt to get that stuff out of the hands of the mafia. At this point, it's no longer serving that purpose. However, depending on how... let's assume that this does go up before the Supreme Court, which if I remember correctly, it actually is. Because this specific article was done on January 17th, and what I heard about a week... I think it was this week, is it's actually going before the Supreme Court. And depending on their judgment, they can judge that this is a specific case where the individual is protected based on this specific case, or by some roundabout way that they can make it only apply to him. They can rule completely against him. They could rule that in favor of states' rights, and there are a whole bunch of things. But how it may specifically affect me and just about anyone else in the country, if they rule that the NFA is unconstitutional because it prevents you from owning firearms of a specific type or a specific make, or that could potentially affect New York gun law, that could potentially affect California gun law, Chicago gun law. This is potentially far-reaching. So keep that in mind. What?
Can I throw out my take on suppressors real quick?
Oh, I haven't even gotten to that. My take on suppressors is quite literally, they're there to protect your hearing. A lot of people think, when they think suppressor, they'll think silencer, because that's what it's been called for so long. And suppressors, as they are properly called, don't exist in a manner where you've literally got... What was that movie? Where the two guys were walking through a crowded train station or something, shooting at each other with suppressors on their firearms, and absolutely no one around them was noticing, despite being literally surrounded.
Every spy movie since 1972?
That's fair. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. Even if you shoot a firearm with a suppressor, you're gonna hear it. And any firearm that is shot with a suppressor, how it reacts to that depends on if it's a subsonic or a supersonic round. Supersonic rounds, you're still going to get the sonic boom, and that's pretty fucking loud. But a subsonic round, you're still going to get a sound. It's going to be loud. It's just going to be within the hearing tolerance of the of people in the nearby area.
Yeah, here's my stance on suppressors. In a country where we are allowed to own guns, we should have suppressors because it becomes a public health issue for us to protect our hearing at that point. So suppressors should be allowed.
I almost think it should be required for all concealed carry pistols. Almost. Not like an integral suppressor.
Well, for concealed carry, especially if you're in a city, sure. Yeah, that's fine. But overall requirement, I gotta say no because I don't like.
Did I say fully required, or did I say almost? Because if I said anything other than almost required, then yeah, I misspoke.
You said almost.
Okay.
So you're all good. But I think suppressors should be easily available to every law-abiding gun owner, and it's to protect their hearing. It's not to endorse them shooting people up real quietly.
Yeah, the only time you'll get anything that could truly be called a silencer, chances are you're dealing with a 22, and it's a pretty big fucking can.
Yeah. You can make a suppressor out of a Sobe bottle. Keep that in mind.
In theory, yeah.
No, in practice. Not just in theory.
And no, an integral suppressor on a handgun could potentially make it not. Integral suppressors are Y2K. Integral suppressors are suppressors that are built into the frame, and there are plenty of firearms that can be set up in such a way that with an integral suppressor, you're not worried about it. It's built into the gun. It's not going to be an issue.
But also on top of that, I don't like restricting people's freedoms.
That's another factor to it.
Yeah. So that's where I gotta battle myself.
And that's also why I say that's also why I said almost earlier. That's what prevents me from saying it should be.
I think it should be strongly recommended that that concealed carries within a city should use a suppressor.
Strong recommendations I can get all behind on certain on things. Like it's strongly recommended you don't do heroin. It's there, but we strongly recommend you don't for all of these valid reasons.
Well, and I mean it's just polite to not blow your own eardrums out as well as the person standing next to you. So, can we just make this entire show about guns? Should I just bring up a bunch more articles?
No, we should probably move on, and I'm going to keep track of this.
All right. Talking about Russia.
Real quick, Derpy says, in the UK, hunters frown upon people that don't use the can when hunting. I mean, case in point right there. I'll say this briefly. I don't like the NFA. I want to be able to make my rifle with a 14.5-inch barrel without having to pin a 2-inch muzzle device on the end. Just to make it not fall within the NFA. And I don't want... I have to do that anyway because I'm in California. Well, that would make that potentially that would make that California law not legal, not constitutional, I should say. So that's one of the biggest reasons why I'm following this one.
And to be fair, I don't like loud noises. I've never shot with a suppressor. There's a lot of guns that aren't that loud. If you're dealing with smaller calibers. Overall, though, like, I like the idea of suppressors because I just don't like loud noises. They scare me. Anyways, Russia proposes superhighway between New York and London. This is an article that Rimshee gave me. We have no idea the validity of this site or anything like that. Might be propaganda, might not be. Who the fuck knows? Russia has proposed to build a road stretching all the way from London to New York, going through the entire of Russia in the process. Oh, I thought they were going the other way across the Atlantic Ocean. That actually makes sense.
You what the fuck, James?
What?
Oh my god. You thought that they were gonna go from New York to London via the Atlantic with a fucking highway when we can't even do that across... I doubt we could do that from Florida to whatever that little knobby part is coming out of the bottom of Mexico.
Well, yeah, or like from California to Hawaii or something like that. That's why I was so fucking weird about this article when he first sent it to me. That's what I was thinking.
The picture was right there in the front. God, Jables, what the fuck?
No, hold on. When you sent me the article, all it showed was a link. It didn't show me any sort of picture or anything.
You didn't click it to at least see what it was?
Rimshee, you know fairly well that I never read.
I never said
articles.
anything about reading.
I hardly even look at any of the articles that we cover on the show because I think my hot takes are good enough if I don't read it beforehand. So, yeah, but this makes sense. Okay. The idea for the project has garnered a lot of support.
Hold on. We've got the CNN article. Crab just sent me. Shall we read that one instead?
Yeah, if you want to send me the link. Wait, Crab sent me the link too.
Alright, there we go. Thanks, Crab.
Yeah. It's not the one that's going to be linked in the description, but I'll read it regardless.
Fix it.
London to New York City by car? It could happen if the head of Russian railways has his way. According to a March 23rd report in the Siberian Times, Russian Railways President Vladimir Yakunin, that's real close to Vladimir Putin, has proposed a plan for a massive trans-Siberian highway that would link his country's eastern border with the U.S. state of Alaska. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Crossing a narrow stretch of the Bering Sea that separates Asia and North America. The scheme was unveiled at a meeting of the Moscow-based Russian Academy of Science. Dubbed the Trans-Eurasian Belt Development, TEPR, the project calls for a major roadway to be constructed alongside existing Trans-Siberian Railway, along with a new train network and oil and gas pipelines. Okay, this is an interstate, inter-civilization project, the Siberian Times quoted Yakunin. The project should be turned into a world future zone, and it would be based on leading, not catching, technologies. I don't know what that quote means.
I don't either.
Are we there yet? The road would run across the entirety of Russia, linking with existing road systems in Western Europe and Asia. The distance between Russia's western and eastern borders is roughly 10,000 kilometers, 6,200 miles. Yakunin said the road would connect Russia with North America via Russia's far eastern Chukotka region, across Bering Strait and into Alaska's Seaward Peninsula. Getting real close to fucking with Canada if you're doing that. The road would likely enter Alaska some distance north of the town of Nome, where the famed Iditarod sled dog race ends. Yep. How would drivers span the ocean? Oh, by the way, for anybody that doesn't know, the Iditarod race started the same way, roughly the same way as NASCAR did. The Iditarod race was. Oh, I'm not even reading. I'm just doing anecdotes now. Yeah. So the Iditarod race was started because it was so difficult to get medicine and supplies to some of these remote areas in Alaska, so they started holding this race so you could actually perform the task. And then that person would end up being tasked with doing their deliveries with their sled dogs and everything. NASCAR was started because of moonshine runners. So
yeah, they would
same thing, right?
How NASCAR started is they were trying to figure out who had the faster car, and it was always hey, mine's faster than yours, bragging rights, and it turned into a sport.
Yep. Same thing with the Iditarod race, except they were trying to help people. NASCAR was just trying to get people drunk. And if you say nice car in a southern accent, you say NASCAR. NASCAR! Anyways. Fuck, I lost my place now. I went too long. How would drivers span the ocean gap between Siberia and Alaska? Ferry? Tunnel? Bridges? The report didn't offer specifics on the route across the sea. The shortest distance between mainland Russia and mainland Alaska is approximately 88 kilometers, which is 55 miles. That's not too far, according to the Alaska Public Lands Information Centers. A theoretical drive, as fancifully calculated by CNN, who I don't trust.
Oh, of course you don't trust them, because they're not trustworthy.
Yeah. From London to Alaska via Moscow might cover about 12,978 kilometers, 8,064 miles. Relatively isolated, even by Alaska standards, no road connects Nome with the rest of the state's road system. About 836 roadless kilometers, 520 miles, across desolate terrain separates Nome from the closest major city and the road New York. And the road network in Fairbanks, the unofficial northern terminus of the Alaska Highway. From Fairbanks, Alaska, and the 48 contiguous U.S. states can be reached by road. Assuming a road to Nome were ever built, the idea has been studied by the state of Alaska. A fantasy road trip from London to New York might cover a grueling but presumably photo-op-laden 20,777 kilometers, which is 12,910 miles. Facebook posts from forlorn Siberian rest stops might alone make the trip worthwhile. Rest stops is where the gays go and fuck, right? Never mind.
I have no idea. I think they usually find the gay bars to go fuck at.
Yeah, sorry, that's a joke from the 90s, which I'm pretty sure Russia is still living in the 90s.
No, they're in the 80s. Shut up.
I'm trying to give them some credit, jeez.
I am!
Pretty much.
I'm saying they're not in the 70s, which is a definite possibility.
Yeah, there's There's nothing else to this article. They're asked who's going to pay for it.
Russia, obviously.
Putin. Yeah, they threw up Putin.
Vladimir Putin?
Yeah, Putin. Yep. So that's pretty much it. we might have a super highway, and there might be there could be a potential for us to finally be connected with this other continent, which is super cool. I don't think they're taking into account continental drift when they're talking about this, but you know, whatever.
That's also long duration stuff.
Yeah.
Like, by the time the bridge is falling down, or by the time the continental drift has happened, the bridge will have fallen down.
Yeah. Well, you know, people planning shit like this are much like people on the very far left. They don't think ahead.
Yeah, but sometimes you don't have to think ahead because it's too far ahead.
But you always should, my dude.
Maybe.
Should we just constantly keep burning coal and throw greenhouse gases into the atmosphere and fuck up our entire ecosystem?
Fuck yeah, it's worked so far.
Because in 400 years we're gonna be totally fucked.
What do you mean in 400 years? It's gonna happen tomorrow.
It's snowing in Seattle right now.
Yeah.
And it's thickened. It's fucking garbage.
Yeah, well, we hit a low temperature of 41 where I am, and it's raining.
Get fucked. Go home.
So, you lucked out and got snow, bitch.
I don't see how that's me lucking out.
I want snow to fall here in the Bay Area, and I want people to be freaking out and to stay at home. That way I have the roads to myself.
I moved here because I didn't like snow. Then I keep getting fucking snow.
Well, that's because you're still too far north. There's no way in hell it's going to snow in San Francisco.
Well, that's why we need to get this podcast off the fucking ground. And then I can just work from home and just move anywhere in the country I want to. I'll probably move to Kansas. Super cheap there. Maybe Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah, well, you gotta put blood, sweat, and tears into it.
Yeah, well, any love project, you put blood, sweat, and tears into it. Including when you kill people with blades.
That was a much better transition than I expected.
You're welcome.
Blood, sweat, and steel.
Transitions over the last few months.
Blood, sweat, and steel. My afternoon with the Ace of Swords. This is interesting. I haven't read this, but I can already tell it's interesting. When I got this sword, it was completely covered in blood rust. Sword maker Francis Boyd is showing me yet another weapon pulled from another safe in the heavily fortified workshop behind his Northern California home. I have to befriend this guy now. You can tell it's blood, he says, matter-of-factly, because ordinary rust turns the grinding water brown. If it's blood rust, it bleeds. It looks like blood in the water. Even 2,000 years old, it bleeds. And it smells like a... Huh?
This shit is metal as fuck.
And it smells like a steak cooking. Like cooked meat. I've encountered this before with Japanese swords from World War II. If there's blood on the sword and you start polishing it, the sword bleeds. It comes with the territory. No, I don't want to see your sword vault, Y2K. That just sounds like where you keep your dick pics. Anyway, blood rust. I hadn't thought of that. I guess it would turn water red. But the steak comment is kind of creeping me out. As is the growing realization that if these swords could talk, I couldn't stomach half the tales they'd have to tell. I've been hanging out with Boyd for almost 4 hours now, squirreled away inside his cramped and, to my untrained eye, disorganized shop. Behind me... what?
Hold on real quick. YTKNW, I kind of want to see a sword vault.
And Spect, you missed us talking about guns and a Russian proposal for a highway from New York to London that goes through Russia. It would up their commerce, by the way. That would
not to the Atlantic Ocean like I thought, but
yeah, he's a dumbass. I said through Russia. If it goes through the Atlantic Ocean and then goes through Russia before reaching London, that is one fucking inefficient highway.
YTKW, I will threaten you with all the good times. I'm done to Seattle. Do drugs and drink.
Anyway, I'm getting back to this.
Oh, hey, smart pig.
Behind me, tools appear to be piled one on top of another on surfaces that were once work tables but now function as shelves. Nearby, two vintage Vincent motorcycles. One black, one red with a matching sidecar, gathered dust. Did I mention the Packard Special? I'm guessing it's from the early 1940s, but I'm careful not to ask Boyd too much about it. If I do, he's going to tell me, and I'll never get out of here. This sounds like my kind of guy. This particular sword, Boyd continues, oblivious to my neurotic inner monologue, belongs to the first emperor of the Han dynasty, around 200 BC. His name was Liu Bang. But the reason I'm dragging it out is not because of who owned it. It's what's inside that counts. Recently, reverently, Boyd unsheaths his prize. This is made from 100-layer metal, he says. See the pattern? I do. It looks like the spots on a leopard. It does. This is 100-layer material, he repeats. I believe him. Boyd's been doing this all afternoon, pulling gem after gem from his safe. As long as I'm careful not to touch the blades, lest the oil on my skin stain Boyd's meticulously polished surfaces, he's even been letting me handle a few of these ancient treasures. Like the one he's showing me right now. I take it in my hand, feeling its weight. It's extraordinarily balanced. It's extraordinary balance, and try to imagine what it must have been like to wield this weapon as if my life depended on it. Obviously, I can't even begin to imagine such a thing. These pieces are way, way out of my league. Meekly, I hand the 2,000-year-old sword back to Boyd, as he carefully wipes it with a tissue before returning it to its sheath. I prepare myself for whatever is about to be revealed next. I have come to Francis...
Whatever?
I have come to Francis Boyd to get the answer to what I thought would be a simple question. What is the difference between Damascus steel and Woots? I have long heard the name of the Syrian city used to describe certain types of hard steel with complex patterns on their surfaces, but only recently was I introduced to the term Woots, which seems to be supplanting Damascus in auction catalogs and the popular press to describe the material used in ancient swords and other edged weapons. There's a lot of confusion in the realm of what they call Damascus and Woots, Boyd says, with a good deal of understatement. There are all these different variations of pattern welded metals that are called Damascus. Some use Woots, some don't. We call the whole group Damascus, but the current dogma to call them all woots is way off base. God, this is a long article, but...
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just going to scroll down real quick, and... Yeah, we're not reading all this. Holy shit.
I wanna read off this tweet that Crab sent out. And I want your opinion on it, Rimshee.
Okay.
So Crab90, remember, there's a pre-show to the YouTube Saints put together by Saints devotees at Rimshee1 and J plus Boogly. The show's not that great, but it is informative and funny. Hashtag politics, hashtag entertainment, hashtag talk, hashtag
How much politics
late night,
do we really talk anymore?
YouTube Saints. We haven't done politics in so long. We've just been doing science.
I mean, the closest we've come to politics is what we started off with the firearms, and that's not really politics, that's law. Which I guess is politics.
Well, no, yeah, it's totally politics. I mean, like a week or two ago, we talked about how they're trying to ban dwarf tossing in my state. Bullshit. Get that politics hashtag out of there.
Yeah.
Get an edit button.
I mean, the show may not be good, but get that politics hashtag out of there.
Yeah. And I'm funny as fuck.
Well, we have 14 people watching.
Yeah. Thank you. You're welcome. And thank you to the 14 people watching. So I'm gonna... Wait, hold on. I'm gonna do my best impression of Ben from the Drunken Peasants real quick. Hey, just so you guys know, if you could just take a moment to, like, share the stream, smash that like button, because it really helps us with the algorithm. And if you could definitely share the stream, though, because that'll definitely help with the algorithm, because not everybody's getting notifications that we're starting our stream. Is that a good Ben impression?
Yeah, sure. Let's move on. This article is so long that if we keep reading it, we won't get to anything else. But, I mean, that first part was fucking fascinating.
Yeah, or old swords bleed. TLDR.
Yeah.
You guys want to talk about fighting animals?
Yeah.
Have you ever put a mountain lion in a rear naked choke?
Crazy shit. Go ahead, Jables.
Man suffocates mountain lion who attacked him in Colorado. Now the question is, did he suffocate the lion because he was attacked, or was it because he was in Colorado? Fort Collins, Colorado. AP. Wildlife officials say a man who fought off a young mountain lion on a northern Colorado trail killed the animal by suffocating it. Colorado Parks and Wildlife says the man was running alone near Fort Collins when the lion attacked him from behind.
Hey, Jeff.
Ah, hey, Jeff. Woo! Yeah, 1 year. Hey, Jeff, do you want to come on? Sorry, where was I? Colorado Parks and Wildlife says the man was running alone near Fort Collins when the lion attacked him from behind after the movement apparently triggered its hunting instinct. The runner, whose name hasn't been released, fought off the cougar, hiked out of the area after Monday's attack, and drove himself to the hospital. He suffered facial cuts, wrist injuries, and puncture wounds to his arms, legs, and back. On Tuesday, Colorado Parks and Wildlife said the investigation confirmed the man's account that he suffocated the animal. Mountain lion attacks are rare. 16 people have been injured and 3 killed by mountain lions in Colorado since 1990. And this is a garbage news article.
But this motherfucker's a badass.
That motherfucker's a badass. I want to know how he suffocated the mountain lion. This article says nothing about that.
You're the one who found it.
No, somebody sent it to me. I saw the headline, thought it was super cool.
It is. It's still a fascinating thing. And then there's this article. Idaho woman breaks up fight between mountain lion and dog.
Oh yeah, I forgot we were going mountain lion themed.
A woman saved her dog from a catastrophe. A 30-year-old Idaho woman thought she was breaking up a fight between two dogs, but it turns out one of the opponents wasn't even a dog at all. It was a cougar. According to the press release from the Idaho Department of Fish and Game. The woman witnessed her dog fighting with another animal outside of her home in McCarthy, whatever. When she initially she suspected it was another dog, but when she pulled the two apart, she realized one was a young male mountain lion, another young male mountain lion. She restrained both her dog and the wildcat as she called for her husband to come outside with his gun. Her husband quickly killed the mountain lion as she held him. The couple called the authorities after the encounter with a fish and game officer responded to the scene. The cougar's corpse was removed for disease testing at the Wildlife Health and Forensic Laboratory. The woman and the dog sustained a few scratches from their close encounter, but appear to be doing fine. This was the third incident in a month that a wildcat has attacked a dog in Idaho. 2 other dogs were killed by mountain lions in Ketchum and Bellevue early January. Oh, no, I'm just going to hold this cougar right here while I wait for my husband to get out here with a gun. It's cool.
Yep. Rear naked choke gets all cougars, right? Also, Jeff, I know you're off Twitter. However, I think it would be fucking hilarious if the only thing you ever did on Twitter was retweet my announcements about the pre-show. I think that'd be fucking hilarious. Billary tweets me. Why don't you, Jeff? All right. I don't have daddy issues. Maybe a little bit.
You have so many daddy issues. Shut up.
I have so many issues.
That's not wrong. You are an issue.
All right.
You're the reason we can't have nice things. The fuck is that?
No.
I'm looking at my broken...
The reason we have nice... Keep in mind, Rimshee, you wouldn't be an admin if it wasn't for me.
I think Waffle had a little hand in that, too. And ultimately, it boils
Waffle
down to
Jeff.
Waffle doesn't exist anymore. Anyway. Let's get back to the sciencey science stuff. This is good stuff.
The sciencey science stuff?
Yeah. You got this next one, right?
Yeah. Is Earth's magnetic field flipping soon? It's a good question to ask. Oh, shit. Hold on, let me grab my water bottle real quick. Rimshee, entertain the crowd.
Entertainment. I will read messages in there. Crab apparently wants Jeff to retweet his promos for the pre-show. I'm
okay with that. Just get the fucking link out there. You think I give a shit about who's posting the link? I don't fucking care. By the way, Crab, good promo. I think you're kind of an asshole for how you phrased it, but overall, good promo. Alright. Is Earth's magnetic field flipping soon? Earth's north magnetic pole is so out of whack that scientists need to update the global magnetic field model they released only 4 years ago. Could that be a sign that the magnetic pole will flip soon? I don't think so. The World Magnetic Model, WMM, the name of the updated representation of the magnetic field of Earth, is expected to be released no earlier than January 30th. That's about 2 weeks later than planned, with the delay due to the government shutdown, according to our report in Nature. The magnetic pole is moving erratically out of the Canadian Arctic and towards Siberia, so unpredictably that it took scientists by surprise. That 2015 update was supposed to remain valid until 2020. Arnaud Chulia, a geomagnetist at the University of Colorado Boulder and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's NOAA National Centers of Environmental Information, told Nature, Earth's colorful atmospheric layers, blah 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 blah. It's no news that the pole is moving. Long-term records from London and Paris, kept since 1580, show that the North Magnetic Pole moves erratically around the rotational North Pole over periods of a few hundred years or longer. I don't know how to pronounce that. Ciaran Begin, a geophysicist with the British Geological Survey, who is involved in WMM updates, told... This is a terribly written article. I don't know if I'm just reading it wrong or if it's just poorly written.
Yes.
Both. Good to know. Ciaran Begin, blah, 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 told Space.com in an email he cited a 1981 study from the Journal of Philosophical Transactions of the Royal Society of London. Okay, half that paragraph was just his credentials. He didn't say what he said. What did he tell him? Fuck it, whatever. But what's really catching attention is the acceleration in movement. Around the mid-1990s, the pole suddenly sped up its movements from just over 9 miles, 15 kilometers, a year to 34 miles, 55 kilometers, annually. As of last year, the pole careened over the international date line toward the eastern hemisphere. Oh, that's interesting. The chief cause of the movement comes from the Earth's liquid iron outer core, which is also called the core field. Smaller factors also affect the movement. Those influences include magnetic minerals in the crust and upper mantle, especially for local magnetic fields, and electric currents created by seawater moving through an ambient magnetic field, according to the 2015 report of the WMM. One of the reasons we can update the map is that the European Space Agency launched a set of highly accurate magnetic field satellites in 2013, said Begin, referring to SWARM. What SWARM is? I don't care anyway. We have a superb data set from which we can make very good magnetic field maps and update them every 6 to 12 months, Begin added. We noticed that the specification of the WMM was not being met in the high latitude region around the pole, as the error exceeded 1 degree of grid angle on average. This triggered us to examine whether it was worth issuing a new update. Okay. We get a lot of our space news from space.com, but whoever the fuck wrote this article is garbage.
Yeah, the link is in the description. We may want to move on to something easier to read.
Yeah. No, it's fucking complicated as hell. Throwing a bunch of garbage in there. Garbage information that doesn't need to be stated necessarily. And you're... Oh my God, no. Here's the thing. Like, where is it first mentioned? Where is it? Arnaud Chuliet, a geomagneticist at University of Colorado Boulder and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, National Centers for Environment Information, told Nature. That's a paragraph just describing somebody's credentials.
Like, I get it.
Fuck off.
Give the relevant credential, the most relevant credential, and if more is needed, it can be asked at a later date.
Elizabeth Howell is the person that wrote this article. I was really interested in this whole concept of this entire article until you started filling this up with fluff. Fuck you, Elizabeth Howell. I hate you.
All right.
No. She said nothing but list Trout. She's done nothing but list off every single little tiny credential every time they're mentioned. Show what's relevant. What is he doing now with their? What are they doing now with their degree?
Let's move on to talk about NASA.
No.
Yes.
Fuck off.
No.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, this one's actually pretty fun. And CNET's pretty good about their writing.
NASA's Hubble telescope finds... What the fuck? No notifications. Piece of shit. NASA's Hubble telescope finds a surprise neighbor galaxy hiding out. Oh, hello, Bugden 1. We didn't see you sneaking around back there.
Yeah.
Imagine you have a neighbor living down the block in a house you've never noticed before because it was tucked in behind some apartments. The human residents of the Milky Way galaxy are now saying hi to a neighbor galaxy we didn't even know existed. A team of astronomers serendipitously discovered the galaxy nicknamed Bugden 1, which, while studying a globular star cluster known as NGC 6752. In a celestial game of Where's Waldo? Hubble's sharp vision uncovered a never-before-seen dwarf galaxy located far behind the cluster's crowded stellar population, NASA said on Thursday.
Okay, let me stop you real quick. Amanda Kuser. Good writing. I already forgot the name of the person that wrote the last article I tried to read. Take some notes, whoever that was.
NASA says the dim galaxy is on our in our cosmic backyard at just 30 million light years away. Bugden 1 is a fraction of the size of the Milky Way and is classified as a dwarf spheroidal galaxy. That's really hard to say.
Yeah.
Astronomers estimate Bugden 1's age at about 13 billion years and say it's been isolated from from interactions with other galaxies. NASA likens it to the astronomical equivalent of a living fossil from the early universe. The Hubble discovery was a delightful accident. Very few Hubble images allow such a faint object to be seen, and they cover only a very small area of the sky, said the European Space Agency. The Hubble Space Telescope is a joint project between NASA and ESA. The researchers published their findings in the journal Monthly Notices of the Royal Astronomical Society. Letters. Cool stuff. In all honesty, this is cool. I guess this is Bugden 1. Let's just enlarge it so everyone may be able to see it better. Bed 1 is right there, lower left-hand corner. Not quite to the corner, but on the edge. That's pretty cool.
Well, I mean, it's... So... This is just testament to how little we fucking know outside of our solar system. We just stumbled upon a galaxy all of a sudden? Yeah.
Yeah, I like that, Spec. Oh yeah, that's easy to see. And it looks like there's 1, 2, 3 other fairly recognizable galaxies there too. But that Bed 1 looks so fucking close by comparison. Assuming that actually is a galaxy and not a cluster of stars just further away. But I'm gonna trust them on that.
Crap, did you say humongous? Are you sexually harassing me? Are you harassing me?
That's enough.
Crab?
Down, boy. Down, boy.
Are you harassing me?
Down, boy.
Crab, are you harassing me?
Oh, God. You can stop it. This is fucking old and dead and buried. Let it stay and rot.
No. Never. That happened in my city.
That's nice. You should take Humongous out to lunch.
Crab, what I'm gonna do about it is I'm gonna put my dick in your mouth.
Dick in a box. But yeah, that's fucking cool that we found a new galaxy. Let's bring it back a little bit closer to home.
Yeah, I mean, we've been learning so much about space, especially with China's new rover that's been going on, that we've been covering since before they launched it, actually.
The Saints have covered it a couple times too.
Yeah, because I keep sending them we keep sending them links.
Anyway, here's yours. Here you go.
China says it's even colder on the moon than we thought. That's THOUGHT, not THOT. China's Change-4 mission has been a rousing success for the country's space agency, and it's already celebrated a number of firsts, including being the first lander to perform a soft landing on the far side of the moon. The far side of the moon, that is, the side that we never see here on Earth when we gaze skyward. Okay, Mike Wenner, send that other chick some notes too. The far side of the moon hasn't been studied in as great detail as its near side. One of the things scientists were eager to observe is just how chilly the lander and its rover would get when enduring the lunar night. And now we finally know. Sparking with China's Xinhua? I don't know. Xinhua? News group.
Xinhua!
Researchers from the China National Space Administration revealed that temperatures recorded by the machines is significant. Okay, never mind. Mike, I'm revoking the card now.
I gotta say, Y2K. China says the moon is colder than we thought. The one-way astronaut was ordered out into the darkness and had enough time to scream, "It's fucking cold!" before his radio went silent. Additional one-way astronauts will find out how easy it is to shoot dissenters in space and then dissect them. Fucking A2K.
I'm also revoking guy that wrote this article, Mike. I'm revoking his card to give that other journalist some tips on how to write. Because of this part of the sentence. Temperatures recorded by the machines is significant lower than had been predicted.
Okay, so he had one mistake that the editor should have picked up. That other lady was just throwing so much shit out there that was only tertiarily relevant.
Yeah, well,
I'd rather deal with a few spelling mistakes.
Overabundance. There is such a thing as an overabundance of information. Yes. It got as cold as negative 310 degrees Fahrenheit. Holy shit. For everybody that's not freedom, it's negative 190 degrees Celsius.
For the risky gulag temperatures.
The risky gulag temperatures.
Freedom.
Actually, Spect, Rimshee and I have talked in private. We don't think that editors exist anymore. Just so you know. Do you still think editors exist with how many times we run on sentences, a bunch of bullshit information that doesn't even apply to the article, misspellings?
It's all bullshit, I swear it's all bullshit.
Every fucking week. I don't think editors exist anymore. Or if they do, they're just collecting a paycheck and not actually doing their job. Anyways, those forged attempts are lower than what other missions found on the opposite side of the moon, and Chinese scientists believe the composition of the surface may play a role. That's probably due to the difference in lunar soil composition between the two sides of the moon. The CNS is Zhang told
Y2K. It became so cold that Canadians were thinking about bringing the keg inside.
Beautiful. The Change 4 lander and its rover companion have already accomplished a lot in their brief time on the moon's surface, but the work isn't done yet. The machines will continue to make observations of the lunar surface as well as cosmic radiation and space weather. I'm not sure how comfortable I am with the term space weather, but whatever. The biggest challenge for China moving forward will be successful completion. To be fair,
we use the term solar winds, so I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Yeah, but I don't agree with that phrase either.
Well, it's an accurate phrase. I mean, it's not officially wind in the term we know, but it's the closest equivalent we have.
Well, isn't solar wind just mass amounts of radiation that creates some sort of force that pushes things?
Yeah, but you can catch it like a sail in a similar manner to wind.
Yeah. I'm smart, guys. Okay.
It can also be felt a long distance off. It's not just like, hey, it has strength close in and no strength farther out. Just like you can't actually see the source of wind and yet still be affected by it.
Yeah, well, that's also the whole concept behind solar sails, which is something that's being worked on for space travel without.
Let's make a solar sailboat just like in Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Oh, I thought you were gonna go Treasure Planet with it.
We could do that too.
Yeah. Fun movie. It's just Treasure Island, but in space. Or Titan AE. They do the same shit too.
Y2K. You can't see the source of wind and still be affected by it. AKA whoever smelt it dealt it.
Yeah.
God damn. I don't know. This is interesting.
It is.
It's continued to stay interesting. Like, in all honesty, the data they're sharing is interesting, The data they're not sharing, that's probably more interesting from a scientific perspective. Most people would probably find it boring because it's so technical, but like this stuff is fascinating.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff, if you're still listening, if you can get in contact with Roaming Millennial, because she's Chinese, right?
That's not going to help.
That we can get some of the confidential information that the Chinese are hiding from us.
Yeah, but she's also Canadian.
Yeah, but she was born in Hong Kong.
Yeah, but they'd consider her a double agent. By virtue of her dual citizenship. It's the same reason that technically dual citizenship is a bad thing to have when you're running for president, Ted Cruz.
Yeah, fuck it. Ted, I'm gonna grow a beard so I don't look like the Zodiac Killer anymore, Cruz.
He doesn't look horrible with it. And that's not to say he looks better than horrible.
No, I think he looks all right with the beard.
Yeah,
have you seen those photoshops of if Trump would just accept his baldness and grow a beard?
God, he would be the most badass president I think we've had on record based on visuals alone.
Nope. No, I think Teddy Roosevelt would still have him beat, not just in look, but in action.
Well, I'm saying just based on looks.
He would rank top 10 badass.
Yeah, he'd look pretty damn. He's not quite bar level of Kratos, but he'd be pretty damn close.
Yeah.
Well, we got 15 minutes, and we can talk. We got several more articles, but let's talk about a new phenomenon having to do with lasers.
Lasers. Oh, by the way, that's why Nod is better than GDI in fucking Command and Conquer. Fuck you, GDI fucks. Not as lasers.
Okay. Anyway, new phenomenon discovered that fixes...
Sorry, did that go over your head?
What? I don't play Command and Conquer, so I'm just going to ignore you. New phenomenon discovered that fixes a common problem in lasers. Wavelength splitting. This one's interesting. At least I find this interesting because fucking lasers are awesome. A team led by University of Utah physicists has discovered how to fix a major problem that occurs in lasers made from a new type of material called quantum dots. The never-before-seen phenomenon will be important for an emerging field of photonics research, including one day making microchips that code information using light instead of electrons. The study published on February 4th, 2019 in the journal Nature Communications. Lasers are devices that amplify light, often producing a single, narrow beam of light. The strength of the beam depends on the material with which the laser was built. Light passes through the material, which produces a beam made of light waves, all with similar wavelengths, concentrating a lot of energy into a small area. This material property to be able to amplify the beam's energy is called gain. Oh crap! Donald Trump is Dr. Evil. That one would be interesting. What he should do is get an eye patch, grow out like a big bushy beard, and just shave his head. Many scientists are building lasers with quantum dots. Quantum dots are tiny crystals of semiconductor materials grown to sizes of only about 100 atoms across. The size of the crystals determines the light beam's wavelength, from blue light to red light, and even into the infrared. People are interested in quantum dot lasers because they can tune properties simply by growing the crystals in different sizes, by using different semiconducting materials and choosing different shapes and sizes of the lasers. The downside is that quantum dot lasers often contain minuscule defects that split the light into multiple wavelengths, which distributes the beam's energy and makes it less powerful. Ideally, you want lasers to concentrate the power into one wavelength. The new study sought to correct this defect. First, collaborators from the Georgia Institute of Technology made 50 microscopic disc-shaped quantum dot lasers out of a cadmium selenide. The U team then showed that almost... Okay, they doubled up that there, but worse things have happened.
That?
Yeah.
That?
Showed that almost all of the individual lasers had defects that split the wavelengths of beams. The researchers then coupled two lasers together to correct the wavelength splitting. They put one laser at full gain, which describes the maximum amount of energy possible. To achieve full gain, the scientists shine a green light called the pump light into the first laser. The quantum dot material absorbed the light and re-emitted a more powerful beam of red light. The stronger the green light they shined on the laser, the higher the gain in energy. When the second laser had no gain, the difference between the two lasers prevented any interaction, and splitting still occurred. However, when the team shined a green light onto the second laser, its gain increased, closing the gain difference between the two lasers. Once the gain in the two lasers became similar, the interactions between the two lasers corrected the splitting and focused the energy into a single wavelength. This is the first time anyone has observed this phenomenon. The findings have implications for a new field called optics and photonics research. In the past 30 years, researchers have been experimenting with using light to carry information rather than electrons used in traditional electronics. For example, rather than putting lots of electronics onto a microchip to make a computer run, some envision using light instead. Lasers would be a big part of that, and the to correct wavelength splitting can provide a significant benefit to controlling information through light. It could also be a major advantage to use materials such as quantum dots in this field. It is not impossible that someone could make a defect-free laser with quantum dots, but it would be expensive and time-consuming. In comparison, coupling is a quicker, more flexible, cost-effective way to correct the problem, said Evan Lafalce, research assistant professor of physics and astronomy at the U and lead author of the study. This is a trick so that we don't have to make perfect quantum dot lasers. That is an interesting article. Lasers.
Yeah. I think it's really curious what they're coming up with.
Yeah.
My question is...
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, wait, no. Go ahead and say what you're going to say, because I'm about to derail.
No. Oh, okay. This is interesting because this, like they said, this could be used theoretically in computers. Hell, this could be used, like, if they were to get this down pat, they could theoretically use this for wireless communications inside a room, as long as it has a clear open space. So let's say I have speakers on one side of my apartment and the receivers on the other. Well, you just put a beam splitter thing that sends out the right wavelength of laser to give the information, and you could theoretically have it set up so that that laser sends the information to the speaker, and that speaker outputs the sound based on the data in that laser. Now, that's kind of a more macro scale example, but like replacing a lot of these copper pathways in a motherboard with a laser, that would move just about as quick, if not quicker, and could potentially create a situation where your response times are just like that.
Yeah, and could also reduce a lot of cables.
And yeah, Trout, fiber optic cables is a great example of that. You just the thing is, you'd have to worry about positioning and such things, because you can't have a infrared laser potentially shining in your eyes. That will blind you most likely.
Yeah. And see, this is why I had to go first, because I was going to talk about choking out cougars. And I'm not talking about the animal. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yeah, I don't really, I personally don't really have much else to talk about.
Yeah, well, I mean, we could talk quick about this weird thing with the asteroid. I don't know how accurate it is.
Let's save that for next week. I'm just not interested in that this week. Honestly. Going through my monthlies. I called into work today, being a little mentally health sick.
Nice. I don't get that. Well, I mean, technically I could get that. I could just say, hey, I don't have anything for I'm not going to be in today. I'm sick. And they'd have to take my word for it. But I could also get days off whenever I want. So it really depends. And if I'm not working, I don't get paid, even if it's a sick day type thing.
Washington State just passed a new law where it's mandatory that businesses offer sick pay. So.
Oh, California has that same law, but it makes an exception for collective bargaining agreements.
So you're under more of like a contractor situation?
Yeah. Yeah, and Washington very well may have that same stipulation.
It probably does, because that makes sense.
Yeah. If you're under a collective bargaining agreement, and in the collective bargaining agreement you have no stipulation that they have to pay you for sick days or anything like that, they can get away with not paying you because it's time you're not working.
Yeah. So I won the fight for having paid sick days. My next fight is to allow Washington State to serve alcohol in strip clubs.
Okay, so prevent them from outlawing midgets, and then make alcohol legal in strip clubs. Nudity and alcohol,
well,
those go together, don't they?
Here's the thing. They don't need to outlaw dwarf tossing if they allow people to drink in strip clubs. Because the reason why there's a lot of strip clubs that do dwarf tossing is because you're not allowed to drink in strip clubs.
Yeah, that doesn't stop bars from doing dwarf tossing. But my point is,
it doesn't stop bars, but it'll stop strip clubs. Plus, the added benefit of
Washington's fucking weird, Y2K. It's a crying shame.
Yeah, it is a shame. I am in fair agreement with the vast majority of our laws, but yes, the no drinking in strip clubs thing weirds me out. Because there's a bar right next to every single strip club. But here's the thing about allowing alcohol within strip clubs. You can monitor how much people are drinking instead of somebody just shotgunning a 6-pack of beer, walks in totally sober, but then the alcohol actually starts to digest and kicks in, and now he's trash.
Yeah, he just chugs a 6-pack, walks in sober. Next thing you know, he's whipping out his dick, and the strippers are playing with it.
Yeah. He's trying to fit a dick in a urethra. Yeah.
And the strippers are taking bets.
Is it really small enough to fit in there? Maybe.
Who's willing to try?
Who are we kidding? He's drunk. He can't even get it hard.
Who said anything about hard? He's just trying to fit it in.
So,
Get me a needle!
happy 1 year anniversary to me for doing the pre-show for over a year now. Yay. We have been your Lester one and only pre-show to the YouTube Saints.
Even when the audio breaks up like that, we are still your one and only pre-show to the YouTube Saints.
Your one and only pre-show to the YouTube Saints. Even though there was that one brief time where we don't talk about that anymore. Be sure to check us next Friday at 4:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to check out the YouTube Saints. Be sure to check out Locked and Loaded. That link is in the description. Any other shows?
Locked and Loaded, the actual Saint show, Friday show. Us every Friday. Show up to the town hall if you can. Next weekend.
Oh yeah,
next
town
Sunday.
hall's happening this Sunday.
Not this Sunday, next Sunday.
Next Sunday. Town hall's happening next Sunday. If you have any gripes, complaints, if you want new channels, if you want other things like that, be sure to join in for that, and then we can add them to our list for discussion that we have with the mod meeting that happens after every town hall meeting. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah. All right,
I'm
everyone.
Choke out a cougar.
Choke out a cougar.
Yeah.
Have
if
a
you
good
want
night.
it, it's fine.